Hi, and welcome to episode 57 of the Beyond Social Media Show. I'm BL Ochman, and I'm flying solo today because my co-host David Erickson is getting our show ready for inclusion on iTunes, and that's going to take some work. So I'm taking the helm today, and just so you know, you can find me online at whatsnextblog.com. I am What's Next on Twitter. And my website, maximum-plus.com, is the place where you can come for all things Google+. And it is our tradition to start the show, which covers the best and the worst in digital communications this week, with some of the worst cases of the week. And we certainly have a special place in hell for the Facebook scammers who preyed on the Aussie MH17 victims by setting up fake tribute pages in their names to drive traffic to some dodgy pop-up ad site that had infected files that would harm your computer if you clicked on them. And they also stole credit cards and tried to scam them. And on Friday, we were told that the death hunters were collecting cash and jewelry and credit cards, and that the victims should freeze their credit cards. Oh, how awful. Okay, much better news than that. That's the worst news in the world of the week. I have approximately $20 in Skype credits, and I get a notification this week that my Skype credits are expiring unless I make a call to any number, even if it's just for 1 second, to activate my account. So I have a much better idea. How about if you don't make them expire? It's simple. Don't have that happen. So what's the reason for that? I have no idea. Dave talked about that a while ago. I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. They won't keep doing that. They kept doing that. I wasn't sure whether this one would go in the best or the worst of social media this week. Reebok, everybody knows that bacon is like America's most loved food, and it's also a very big part of most of our diets, including athletes who are following the paleo caveman diet, the carnivorous hunter-gatherer diet that wants you to eat low-carb, protein-packed food. And so that diet, the paleo diet, benefits a lot of people who are CrossFit training athletes. So Reebok developed their own line of bacon products to engage the CrossFit community and celebrate the 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games. So the bacon follows all the paleo recommendations. It's free of nitrates and preservatives, MSG, no sweeteners. It's smoked rather than cured. And it's packaged and distributed to athletes and their fans before the start of the game. And there's a week-long bunch of activities that fuel the event, and it's lots of fun. And those shipments were all kept on dry ice at the games, so bacon lovers didn't have to worry about spoilage. And there's also a gourmet food truck, the Reebok Bacon Box, and every day it serves a different bacon-wrapped item. So, and you can get the secret recipe for these items online and get a chance to win prizes every day. So what did they have in the truck? Bacon-wrapped artichokes, bacon-wrapped chorizo stuffed dates, bacon-wrapped seasoned pork belly, and bacon-wrapped carne asada and pepperoni. Now, much as I love bacon, I'm not so sure I want to eat bacon from a shoe company brand. You know, and I don't know. How do you feel about it? Do you think that's a cool idea? It's either a very good idea or a very bad idea. But there's something about shoe leather and food, and it doesn't work for me. So we've talked before about Amazon starting to test drone deliveries. Well, unfortunately, they ran into a little problem this week. One of their drones reportedly crashed into the Space Needle in Seattle and broke a window. And, you know, Amazon's stock cratered after they had some ugly earnings reports, and they're down 20% year to date. So then this is adding insult to injury. And apparently an Amazon employee was piloting one of the company's drone prototypes and crashed, and the whole thing's turned into he said, she said, they say it didn't happen, and there's other reports that it did happen. So maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I'm not really, I know Dave is looking forward to having drones deliver stuff. I'm not really looking forward to having drones outside my house. This week, Twitter released its employee diversity report, and no surprises here, 90% of its tech employees are male. 79% of leadership positions are male at Twitter, and 70% of the total workforce is male at Twitter. What a surprise. And they released that report after sort of being forced to by a social media campaign by the Color of Change and Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition, because they wanted more transparency from Silicon Valley companies. But, you know, Twitter's not alone. In May, Google released its diversity report, which was at that time the first of its kind from a major tech firm. And so now other tech firms are releasing their diversity reports, and looking at Google's, 59% of their employees are white, 29% are Asian, only 2% of their self-reporting employees are black or African American, and 3% Hispanic or Latino, which is in stark contrast to the user base, according to Forbes. And Google reported that male tech employees were 90%, 83%. Facebook's male tech employees, 85%. Yahoo, 85%. LinkedIn, 83%. Apple has yet to issue their diversity report, but Tim Cook says they'll do it soon. And none of them said how old their employees are. I'm willing to bet they don't, any of them have employees over 50. I'd like to see those numbers from all of you, please. Okay, so let's talk about good news. For the Google Plus naysayers, like TechCrunch, who says that Google Plus is dead, TechCrunch is wrong, and so are the other people who are, for whatever reason, haters of Google Plus. Very clearly this week, Google made it clear that Google Plus is not going anywhere. In fact, it's going to keep getting better every day so far this week. And so what they did, among other things this week, was they created a couple of directories that will make Hangouts more prominent in search, both in Google search and on YouTube. And I noticed last week when I set up the invitation for this week's Beyond Social Media show that on YouTube there was a little place where you could click. It said that we had set up a live event and scheduled a live event, and then there was a little button that you could click to set a reminder, and you then would get a reminder, as I did, in email, in your Google notifications, and in Google Plus. And so this feature is rolling out right now, but what's going to happen is that about 3 hours before a scheduled event, if someone searches for it, you know, I know they have a show, or I know the author is giving a talk or whatever, what they'll find is a knowledge graph of about half a page in Google search results that are going to not be a paid feature. This is a reward for your use of Hangouts. And you know, there is a learning curve here, and it's a big one, and new features keep getting added all the time, and things keep getting changed all the time, and you have to make an effort to keep up with it. But if you do, you will be rewarded, and you will clearly be rewarded by being featured prominently in search. And in that search result, there's also a Watch Event Live button that takes you directly to the event. So, you know, if the author's answering questions about his latest book and you happen to find that, you'll go directly to that event. The other thing that Google Plus introduced this week that I'm still trying to learn and hopefully will use next week is called Showcase, which allows you to do a number of really incredible things, including sharing live links with people who are watching your show during the broadcast. At the same time, they're able to comment on the event page, and you could be selling products in those links. So this is sort of a new version of shoppable Hangouts that may be more accessible, and more to come. This is just released like 2 days ago, and we're still learning about it. So, you know, yes, 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 there's a learning curve. Yes, it's a big one. Yes, sometimes it's really complicated, but it's worth every minute that you devote to learning about Google+. So the haters are going to hate, and whatever they want to do is fine with me. I'm spending time learning how to use these wonderful features. So another thing that I found really interesting this week was that in a tweet to senators, the White House included a message. Well, actually what they did was they included a tweet for you to, in an email message that was to your senator. And I had not seen this before in an email. Maybe I missed it, but pretty cool, POTUS and White House. I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing that was sort of predictable, I guess, in a way, was as a promotion for the new National Geographic show called Mind Over Masses, producers wrote on the street, made lanes that said, one said no cell phones and one said cell phones walk this way, and the people, you know, using cell phones, talking on them, they didn't notice, but of course they wouldn't. They were busy staring at their phones and at their screens, and they said the only time that anybody noticed that the lanes were on the street was if they stopped to take a picture of it on their cell phone. Bada bing. So this week there was a really grand style announcement from Shift Communications, because Scott Monty, my friend, who recently became Executive Vice President of Strategy after leaving Ford Motors, where he'd been head of social media for 6 years, joined this smaller firm, and they use social media in the big way to tell everybody all about it. Scott even got his own URL. They featured it on Shift's blog, on Facebook, on YouTube, in press releases. It was all over. And what a coup for a small, clever agency. I can't wait to see what they come up with together. And congratulations, Scott, and congratulations to Shift. And great things are ahead for that agency, I'm quite sure. This week also, Weird Al Yankovich, new album, Mandatory Fun, reached #1 on the Billboard chart. And that's the first time in, like, I don't know, since 1963 that a comedy album reached #1 on the Billboard chart. And Weird Al said, I've been doing the same thing for over 30 years, and all of a sudden I'm having the best week of my life. And so what happened was that he didn't have any money, so he got other sites that had plenty of money and plenty of audience, like Funny or Die, College Humor, and Nerdist, and they brought their own huge audiences, and he did one video every day for 8 days to promote Mandatory Fun, and it had 104,000 sales in the US, and that made it a #1 album. And one of the things that was noted in some of the articles I read was that it's taking less and less sales to reach #1 because albums sell less and less. But the last time that a comedy album was #1 in Billboard was My Son the Nut, Alan Sherman's 1963 album that had his song about camp. Hello Mother, Hello Father, and this kid is complaining about camp. It was quite hilarious if you grew up in that era. And so now Al has done 8 videos, and these videos have been watched a total of 46 million times. And guess what? RCA, his record label, didn't give him a promotional budget because they haven't learned anything from what's happened to the music industry in the past 20 years. So he said he never dreamed that he'd be as successful as he was, but it was content bombardment. 8 videos in 8 days. And, you know, on Wikipedia, his profile got 575,000 views so far this month. And on the music tracking site, Spotify, his music was streamed 3.5 million times around the world last week, up 785% from the week before. And Al Yankovich said, I wasn't thinking, oh boy, I'm on the bleeding edge of marketing. This is a business model to change the world. You know, he was just thinking, like, how can I get other people to help me promote what I'm doing? And his style of parody has been around. His big hit in 1979 was My Bologna, which was a comic version of the Knack's hit My Sharona. Then in the 1980s, his videos started being shown on the then new MTV network, and his parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It, which was called Eat It, was one of the funniest ever, and it made him a really big star. So with this go-round, he started July 14th with a video called Tacky, which is a parody of Pharrell Williams' monster hit Happy, and it had a silly dance and a long tracking shot. And then he had videos like Foil, which is a play on Lord's Royals, and it was all about the uses of aluminum foil wrap, and Word Crimes, which was a rant about bad grammatical habits set to Robin Thicke's blurred lines, and it said, I read your email, it's quite apparent, your grammar's errant, you're incoherent. And as a grammar lover, I just like that. So, more good news this week. Well, in the back of bad news, in Detroit, things are so awful. The economic situation there is so horrible that there are many, many people who cannot afford to pay their water bill. And so Turn On Detroit's Water is a social media project that allows people to help pay other people's water bill. The project was developed when a bankruptcy judge ordered the Detroit Water and Sewage Department to find a way to help people who can't pay their overdue water bills, because there are thousands of them. So more than 300,000 people in Detroit, families, face water shutoffs because their water bills have been, exacerbated by the horrible ongoing economic conditions there. And the good news is that as of July 25th, 2,300 donors were ready to give Detroit residents a confirmed $15,000 in payments, and they go directly to the water department, and they're going to continue this website as long as there is a need. So the way it works is pretty simple. An account holder who owes $250 or less to Detroit Water and Sewage enters their information, including their address, their account number, their past and their current charges, their account balance, and then it's verified through the water department, and there's no paperwork. It's all done online, and on the other end, the donor puts their email into the system and then gets the account holder's information without their name, anonymous, so that they can pay a bill, and they can specify an amount they want to donate if they can't pay the whole bill, or if they want to donate one large lump sum. And corporate accounts aren't allowed. This is person helping person, and the money goes directly to the individual families in need to pay their bill. Pretty wonderful way to help people, and you can go there too. And last but not least, in the good news department, the Queen of England photobombed 2 Australian hockey players at the Glasgow National Hockey Centre, where the Commonwealth Games are currently happening, and the 2 hockey players are members of the Australian hockey team called the Hockeyroos, and they're really good news for them. They won their game on Thursday. So I'm going to wrap this show up a little bit early today, but I want to go through some apps that I think are pretty terrific. Sunscreen met high tech this week when Nivea debuted a number of sun-related campaigns, and one of them is centered on something called a sun alarm app that'll wake you up only if it's a great beach day. And there's another print ad that doubles as a solar cell phone charger. Don't ask me how they did that. And there's a third one that has a detachable bracelet that helps parents keep track of their kids at the beach. And of course they want to sell sunscreen, because that category is closing in on $1 billion in annual sales in the U.S. alone. But unfortunately, melanoma diagnoses are also on the rise, so maybe you should just stay inside and binge watch Orange is the New Black. Um, if you hate distractions on the web, there are ways of blocking them. If you don't want to see ads or specific websites, or you don't want user tracking or scripts or images or pop-ups, you can even define like your own content filters with a new app called Weblock. We'll put the link on the Beyond Social Media Show blog. Bush's Baked Beans created an app that is called Bush's Bean Dash. It's a game, and it lets players help a character named Jay, who appears in their ads, avoid obstacles while he's collecting beans and ingredients for Bush's Baked Bean flavors. And Jay's dog, Duke, offers advice and clues to you while you're playing the game, and you have to wonder, is the dog going to spill the beans and share the family recipe? I don't know, but the game has a really retro feel, and you think Super Mario Brothers back in the day, and you travel through these different zones. There's a farm, the barn, the countryside, and Jay has to gather recipe ingredients while jumping around and avoiding chickens and gophers and bumblebees. And when his bean meter runs out, then the game is over. And it's free in the App Store. And then I wanted to tell you about 21 things you didn't know your iPhone could do. And for example, I didn't know this, you make a mistake typing, you just give your phone a little shake, and it undoes what you just typed. Or if you don't have time to open up your camera, you can actually take a photo with the volume button. If you want to start a new sentence, you just tap the spacebar twice while you're typing. It adds a period and starts a new sentence. And there are 18 other things that I had no idea, for the most part, that my iPhone would do. And I'm on my third iPhone, so we'll add the link for you because I think you'll find them helpful too. So I'm going to skip the daily numbers because that's Dave's gig, and Dave will be back next week. And later today, we will timestamp this video and add it to the Beyond Social Media Show blog and to the Beyond Social Media Show YouTube channel. And you can find us at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com on Google+. And you can find David Erickson at D.Erickson on Twitter, at eStrategyBlog.com, at eStrategyTV. And you can find me at What'sNextBlog.com. I'm at What's Next on Twitter. I am BL Ochman on Google+. And you will also find me at Maximum-Plus.com, my company that's all about Google+ and helps to produce live events and train companies, agencies, and so on in how to use this wonderful platform. So thank you for joining us. We will see you next Saturday. Dave will be back.